A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to some more Survival of No Limits. But let's be prepared because, well, a couple days from now, I'll be settling on a brand new location, and, well, most likely I'll have those episodes prepped very soon. But for right now, here in August 2021, it's about time that I basically talk another thing that's also pretty terrifying, yet gruesome, and rather dangerous in most ways. It can prove to be lethal if you don't have the right kind of medical skills necessary for this exact process, known as self-amputation. Yeah, that was more comical than realistic right there, because the thing is, it's not necessary most of the time to happen to put upon amputation just so you can keep on living. Especially when there are a lot of things to consider. The first and most important thing of all is, are you willing to slice off your own arm, leg, or other part of the body that could potentially be infected with some sort of bacteria or venom that could be dwelling deep inside these parts and possibly kill you from the inside out? But of course, let's not forget that there are a considerable number of factors otherwise that can be prevalent in this exact scenario, such as blood loss. Blood loss can indubitably be one of the many causes of death by self-amputation. Especially if you end up hitting certain things like the femoral artery, jugular vein, or other sorts of primary vessels that are as vital as possible. They can, in fact, cause tons of bleed outs. But it is certainly more important to know that with self-amputation, a big number of other risks will come into play. If you are in fact willing to slice off your own, well, appendage, then let's not forget about how, in order to stop the bleeding properly, there have to be a few other things to keep in mind. Sterilizing the wound itself, and stopping the bleeding at any cost, and then of course wrapping it up in something so that way the bleeding is able to be softened up to a point where it would eventually staunch. But otherwise, if you want to keep another thing in mind, let's also worry about phantom limb sensations, the type of process that generally follows some time after a limb is cut off. When appendages are sliced off, then you still typically have that feeling of the arm or leg possibly still being there. Phantom limb sensations are typically what could follow. But we can also agree in the fact that they can also be liable for some other things in life, and that of which would usually be pain, because the limb is no longer there. But yet your brain still feels as if it is still around, somehow. Maybe because it's something that can usually happen in a split second, where a limb ends up getting cut off. That's typically what could happen. Phantom limb sensations are certainly what can be around most of the time, usually minutes to hours to days or even weeks after a limb is cut off, or multiple limbs. There's been cases where people have had to slice off their own legs or arms or other parts of the body that would need to be sliced off in order to prevent blood from getting coagulated, or venom, bacteria, viruses, parasites, or other sorts of dangerous organisms from entering certain vital organs or other parts of the body that would eventually cause death if left untreated. But no matter the cost, infections of all sorts are certainly, without a doubt, some of the most deadliest that you could in fact come across, and that is why most people would consider having to put together self-amputation rather than try to ignore it. And it's certainly because the instinct that we all have to this day, where we don't feel like dying right at that point in time. But yet it is still most important to have these kinds of skills whenever they will become necessary. The skills that involve staunching the bleeding, wrapping up the wound in something that will in fact prevent any more excessive bleed outs from taking place, and then of course the usage of sterilizing or cleaning out the wounds with any sorts of cleanser that would be necessary to prevent any other further infections or even progression or worsening of symptoms that are already prevalent. But the thing is, as long as you have a fully intact body with an immune system that's willing to fight it off, then you don't necessarily need to worry about these kinds of things at hand. Survival skills are without a doubt something that can in fact be helpful in so many situations that I tell you, I could be very busy just talking about these things left and right. But once again, be on the lookout for another new location where I will be filming 7 more episodes. And then I'll be doing it again and again and again and again until the very end of this season. So without any doubt in my mind, let's see what else we can do here. So get prepared for what's going to happen in a couple more days, where I move to another new location, which you can only find out by watching the next episode. 2 days from now, it'll be around. So if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.